Hello and welcome to another episode of Cricbuzz Chatter. It's the second test, and the first day just happened in the Freedom Series between India and South Africa. And we have Shaun Pollock, who's been sitting there. He's got a very pretty face, a bit of a smile. I think, or just getting his tie ready, all ready to not have chatter, no banter, I would think. But on that note, Polly, how did you think the day went?
Yeah, I think South Africa were the happier of the two. I think there was plenty on the surface of that. There's no doubt. I thought their lines, their lengths, and their bowling was a little bit better than what we saw in the first innings at Supersport Park. But in saying that, there's going to be plenty on the surface. I mean, I haven't been impressed with the two pitches I've seen so far in these Test matches. I think there's too much for the bowlers. You don't want guys just to land it and something happens. You need to rely on your skills to be able to seam it or swing it through the air, and we haven't seen that. The one thing I would say, I'm a little bit disappointed in the way India have gone about it. You've got Hashim Amra working for us in this Test match, and his big thing at the start of the match was when you come to the Wanderers, how do you leave? I think that's the key element to how you try and combat whatever's thrown at you. You look at all 10 dismissals, it was catches. So I don't think your Indian batters left as well as they could. They got off to a decent start once again with a little bit of a partnership up front. But probably not the best batting display. I think South Africa fought hard, and the key for me will be day 2, session 1. The pitch will be rolled, obviously, first thing in the morning, and it'll probably be at its best in that first hour and a half, and then after that, it'll probably misbehave again. So I think South Africa would be probably the happier of the two, knowing that they have to win this Test match to get even Stevens in the series. But I don't know, from the outside, that was just from here how we felt. I don't know what you felt from watching from a distance.
I mean, when we look at the scorecard, which we'll be seeing again, it's a very interesting scorecard, I must say. And I say that because, as you just said, everything has been a catch, which obviously says that there have been a few false shots. And that's what generally happens. If you just look at how the day went, India winning the toss, wanting to bat first, again, a positive decision by the stand in captain, KL Rahul. 202 is what they got. KL Rahul again standing up with 50. And again, very interesting name there. R. Ashwin, who batted brilliantly, I would think, considering the conditions and where he came to bat, made use of the situation and decided he needs to play shots. South Africa bouncing back with 35 or 1. Towards the end of day's play, there was a catch that was on offer but spilled behind by Rishabh Pant. But other than that, I think in many ways this belonged to South Africa. And I would say that only because I think if you had asked South Africa at the start of the day, would you be happy with India getting all out for 200? I think they would have definitely said a yes, because yes, there were a few demons in the wicket, a couple of the balls that did kick, like the Vihari's wicket, to an extent Pujara's wicket. But other than that, it was a normal Wanderers bull ring pitch. And if you do see the scorecard for the Indian team that's batted, a couple of them did get starts. The Mayank Agarwals, I thought he played a pretty ordinary shot considering how well he's been batting. I think he'd be very disappointed as an opener looking to hit on the up to Marco Janssen. Pujara got a good one. KL Rahul after his 50 looking to hook the ball, not having control. And then the rest followed. I think the standout performer there after KL Rahul is definitely R. Ashwin. Very interesting space for him, so to say, because he's batting at number 7 and his credentials as an all-rounder is there for us to see. But we all know he's more of a bowler who's contributed a lot for Indian cricket as a bowler. But a lot of the times he finds ways to play effective innings. And yet another case study of how well he's played. Did you like what you saw in the way R. Ashwin batted, Polly?
Yeah, I did. I mean, he's always a guy who looks to be as positive, and I thought he had the right game plan on the surface. He'd probably be disappointed at throwing it away. He probably could have looked to be a little bit more circumspect at the back end there. He still had another batter to come. So, but as you mentioned, a valuable contribution. More importantly, what's the talk about Rahane and Pujara in India? Is it last chance saloon? I mean, Sunny intimated that maybe they have got one more innings to really show their worth. I mean, we had a stat, an interesting one, when he came out to bat Pujara, that today was 3 years to the day since his last Test 100. So I suppose, they've played well with regards to the team performance, but you look at your batting depths and you have someone like Rohit Sharma coming back in, Virat Kohli coming back in. Is there real immense pressure on them?
Obviously, see, I feel as an Indian team right now, generally in cricket, there are two ways that players are picked, one on potential and one on scores. If you see potential, I think India obviously have a truckload of potential in terms of batters. who are standing in the queue right now. If you see performance, again, these players have stood up at various points of time in different ways. Like if you take a Shreyas Iyer, he's come in and done well in the two tests that he's played. Vihari has played a very fighting knock in Sydney. He kind of held his own. So people have done well there. Whereas Pujara and Rahane, in many ways, I mean, it's very interesting that you said for 3 years he hasn't got 100. He's somebody who's a prolific run getter in domestic cricket and in international cricket. But for the 3 years, I think at a number three spot, which inarguably probably one of the world's best cricket teams, to find your spot there for 3 years as a number three batter and not score 100, I think he would know that he's been given a long, long rope. I think definitely to a large extent they're playing because of the potential they have and the performances that they've shown, and obviously they're senior statesmen as well. But I think obviously that rope, that long rope that they've given, is slowly burning out, and you're coming to the end of it. And I'm very, very sure both are aware of it. Also, we got to see the potential of the players who are ready at the back. They have done well as well. Now, if Virat Kohli comes in, you do get the feeling that one of the two have to give way. And with the Shreyas Iyer back there as well, I mean, it's very interesting. If Rohit Sharma walks in, where does a Mayank go? He's done so well. You're not going to be dropping him. So is he going to drop number three? So obviously, I think they are very aware of the fact that time is running out, and obviously, for some time, people have been speaking about it.
But from a perspective of Rahul Dravid, I mean, he's newly appointed as coach, and he's only had this as his second series. What do you think his mindset would be? I mean, does he want to make the big change? It's hard when you come in and emotionally you've watched these guys play for a period of time. It's tough decisions to be made. You have to make a decision at some point. Where do you think he is at in mindset?
It's very interesting you say this, because when Rahul Dravid was at the fag end of his career, it was actually Pujara who did well at that number three spot and put pressure on him, and eventually went on to take his spot in the team, and he's been number three for a long, long time now. So I think obviously that circle comes around now. Obviously, Pujara, can't say it's at the fag end of his career, but it's come at a time where obviously he's played a lot of tests and he's not done well in the recent past. So I do think Rahul Dravid will have to make a couple of hard decisions, and if that means dropping one of them or both of them, he will be open to it, because he knows that they've been given a long rope before, and I think they would have trusted them in the series after he's come. It's been 3 test matches now that he's been the coach, and you don't want to, in many ways, just set the ground ablaze by making big decisions right at the outset. So I think he's waiting, taking his time, trying to obviously assess what he can contribute to them in their careers, and if it's not working out, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, I guess. So I think he will have to make a decision on those two players very, very soon. Obviously, there was a hint previously itself when Rahane was removed from vice captaincy and given to KL Rahul. So they're so they're looking forward now. I mean, it was given to Rohit Sharma rather, I'm sorry. But obviously, KL Rahul is leading because Rohit Sharma is not there. So I think the decisions are coming thick and fast, and time is running out. And Rahul.
Timing wise, what have you guys got next? So you've got the West Indies and then Bangladesh. Is that right?
Yes, West Indies come.
And that's sometimes the time in many ways to make the decision. Not before a big tough series. It can be just a period where you make the call and you say, okay, new guys come in, and we give you, when I say lesser opponents, not as highly ranked as what an Australia or an England would be, and just to settle themselves down so that they're ready to go for big series. So yeah, it could be interesting times. I'm not going to put you on the spot as to when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, after this, there's Sri Lanka as well for India. So I completely agree. But, the quality of India's bench strength is so good. When Shreyas Iyer was given an opportunity against New Zealand, which is the World Test Championship winning team, he got 100. So, there is quality there and they're ready to play. I want to ask you about Duane Oliver. What did you make of him? How did you feel he went about his business today? He's come after some time now.
Yeah, I mean, great that he got the 3 wickets. But in all honesty, he was a bit of an enforcer for us before he went onto the county circuit. And his pace today was a little bit down. So that might be, I don't know if that's nerves or maybe just didn't have as much rhythm as he was after. But I'm going to monitor that closely, because he is a guy who's capable of bowling 140s plus. And in many ways, that was his role before he left the South African team. So we're going to have to just have a look at that. I think he'd be chuffed that he picked up 3 wickets and felt like he's played his part. But we'll monitor that going forward. I think the big thing for me was the correct decision to go for Jansen. He backed up the selectors. Mulder left out, playing as almost the all-rounder in the side. Once again, brought in some good stuff. And I think I'm pretty excited about what he offers going forward. 4 for 31. And also the lines, just the learning he made. I mean, his economy rate of 1.8 there. He bowled quite a few loose deliveries in the first test. You're going to do that. but he's learned and he's adjusted pretty quickly.
All right, Polly, it's that time of the day. I need to put you on the hot spot there.
Bring it on.
Okay, obviously, last test, a very important member of Team South Africa retired, Quinton de Kock. And it's been a bit of a, it's been happening in world cricket. Moeen Ali recently retired, saying that he's going to play white ball cricket and obviously move on from test cricket. What can cricket boards do? And how did, I mean, it's interesting, not only that I asked this, because Dean Elgar came out saying he was shocked as well, being a captain. And then he had a conversation and things kind of, he understood where Quinton is coming from. What's your take on this, Polly?
Yeah, it is sad, and it would have come as a shock. I mean, we knew Quinton wasn't playing this test match, but it was because of the birth of his first kid. So we thought he'd take a break and then he'd be back. So it is a bit of a surprise. I think just mentally, the bubbles, continuously being away from home is maybe taking its challenge and taking its effect on the individuals. Quinny is a guy, in the past, he likes to go hunting, he likes to go fishing, he likes to spend a bit of time away from the game, and I don't think he's been able to do that. And you obviously at this stage of your career, he's 29 now. You look at what sort of floats your boat. What is the format that you really get excited about? There's a lot of T20 leagues where you can just stand and deliver and probably have a lot of fun, and probably takes a bit of stress off his body as well. So it did come as a surprise, but you can understand it, and that's why we've always been concerned about the test format. We see it as the truest test of the game. But I think boards need to be very conscious of how they deal with their players, how they can, particularly in this COVID time, how they can make the best of it. I mean, even coming to grounds that are empty, to come here for 5 days and play in front of an empty stadium, it doesn't ideally get the best out of you. But I also got a funny feeling that might not be the end of the saga. I think 2, maybe 3 years down the line, much like an ABD discussion, because Quinny is such a fine player, there might always be calls for maybe him to come back.
Interesting. I mean, he's somebody, like you said, very laid back character, very easy, and he's just 29. I mean, 29 is not an age to retire. So when he did say that he wants to move on from Test cricket, it came as a shock. I also think as you said, the bubbles are taking its toll on players. With every tournament that you go, the quarantine that you need to do for 7 days prior to that, it gets harder and harder and harder. So in many ways, he wants to move on with his family, which is very, very interesting and understandable. But I just hope that South Africa is able to, in many ways, accept what has happened and move on in a good manner, because Test cricket needs South Africa to be firing. A good South African side is very important to world cricket. And on that note, Polly, let's move on to fast forward now. Day 2, Polly, day 2. What do you see things happening? And day 2 is going to be the first day for KL Rahul as a captain. Yes, he's led for about a few overs now, but it's going to be one full day as a test captain. How do you see that panning out, Polly?
Well, one thing I do see going on the fast forward, that there's probably not going to be a day 5. It looks like this test match is going to be finished earlier rather than later. I think it will be a little bit of a test. In saying that, I don't think he'll be worried at all, because it wasn't like India didn't create opportunities. There were plenty of deliveries that beat the bat, crashed into the pads, found the inside edge. I just do think he's going to have to box smart in that first hour. Once that roller's operated on, obviously the ball is now 16 odd overs old, and then also the concern of Siraj. Is it a cramp? Is it a more severe injury? How much of a part will he play going forward? Maybe he has to rely a little bit more on Ashwin than he probably would have initially in this first innings in particular. But I definitely think that first hour is going to be key. If India can find another breakthrough, they can apply some particular pressure. But if South Africa managed to negotiate it, then I can see South Africa ending up with the first innings lead. And on the surface, I think any sort of lead that you get is going to be quite important.
Yes, absolutely. At the Wanderers, with every passing day, it gets tougher and tougher to bat. Why? Because the wicket gets much quicker to bowl on. So I'm sure, like Paulie said, we're not going to have all 5 days of cricket unless and until rain interrupts, which again, Paulie is very good at figuring out. But at this point in time, he is saying that there's going to be no rain. It's going to be an enthralling day's play tomorrow. Hopefully, India comes out in the box seat. But for that, the first session is going to be extremely important. We will catch you on the other side tomorrow, same time on Cricbuzz Chatter. See you guys. Have a good day. And I hope you had a fabulous new year as well. Enjoy.